Right, welcome to this Tactics and Showcase video. It's for Eldar Craftworlds, and it's for a unit that I've recently added into my new Eldar list. I'm trying to get the Eldar to do better than last season. They were kings of the channel in 7th edition and then plummeted to one of the lower performing armies. And that's all been my fault. I've taken a strange and interesting list. Eldar officially are one of the best armies out there, but I've taken a quirky list and it has struggled. But I'm working on another variation of that same theme, much stronger and better, I think, and one of the new units that's been added in. I've dropped a number of units, adding some new units in. One of the new additions to the army is Dark Reapers. I've used them before, a few games. They've done okay, but now there's ways to make them really, really good. So we'll share some tactical here for getting the best out of Dark Reapers. In this video it will be tactics, and then it's going to be showcase. I'm going to have a look at the models as well, take a close-up look of them. So we'll bring them in. I have 5 here at the moment, with some more on order as we speak at this point. So here's 5 of them. I've painted up in the classic Dark Reaper colour scheme. I'll zoom in just a moment, but very subtle colour scheme with these. As you can see from this distance, just mostly black and a bit of bone on them, but a nice colour scheme nonetheless. I'm going to zoom in here and we'll get a closer look at these. There he is. So these ones are lead, as you can see, the old lead style, which I prefer. I usually try and hunt them down in lead if I can, just a bit more solid than, especially for Eldar. I see these kind of bits here that can break off, so I usually try and hunt them down in lead if I can. But there's Dark Reapers here, this set. Bought these about 5 years ago. Really enjoyed painting each of the different aspects here. Got a sort of a unit of each. Enjoy painting each of those. You can see a bit of chipping, a bit of battle damage here, just the amount of games that these have been involved in. But it's still a great sculpt. For the age of the models, they're an excellent sculpt. It's Jess Goodwin, I think, was the sculptor. I could be wrong on that one, but they're amazing models for sure. So there's the Exarch. Now, just from memory, I don't plan on doing a painting tutorial for these. From memory, I probably would have sprayed them black, I would imagine. So spray them black, Chaos Black, just the usual Games Workshop stuff. The base will just spray grey. You can follow the urban painting tutorial for the basing. That painting tutorial is on YouTube, same process I would have used for these. Sprayed them black. The colour here would be corn red, I think. Pretty sure. So I would have picked that out. I would have done my base colours first. Ushabti bone for all of the bone armour here. Usual gold, would have picked that out. I think this is corn red mixed with some white for this plume. I would have done my usual washes. Agrax Earth Shade over the whole thing. That's probably what I've done. Agrax Earth Shade over the bone and over the red, and the black Nuln Oil. The washes help to seal it all in, even though it's not going to add to the colour because it's already black, but it just seals the whole thing, stops paint from rubbing off. The washes are great for sealing the model. Then highlighting here, just would have edge highlighted. The danger with black is to do too much grey and it all turns grey and looks too chalky, so I just thinned down some Dawnstone as it is, just thin it down with some water and then just pick out my edges. And then perhaps you can do an extreme edge just on like the knuckles perhaps, or the tip of a shoulder pad, but not too much. I've hardly done any here actually, so I have kept it nice and subtle because I want it to look black. I don't want the armour to turn grey when you do too much grey highlighting, but you can add a little bit of white to the Dawnstone if you want to do an extreme highlight. I don't think I did here actually. So just Dawnstone is the highlight on the black. Nice and straightforward. Takes time, but it's worth doing. It picks out the detail. Repainted the corn red, mixed it with some white to do a highlight on here. Ushabti bone, painted that again, mixed it with some white to do an extreme highlight on the bone. And then picked out the gold and the gems. It's the usual process for them. And that's about it. It's pretty straightforward actually for painting these. And quite a striking colour scheme. Very unique, very recognisable on the battlefield. So that's how I painted them up. we'll zoom out now and take a look at the rules for these. So my personal opinion is a standard unit of 5 of these isn't that great. A bit controversial to to say it. I think they need enhancements, they need help, and then they become utterly deadly. But I'll sort of cover that as we go along. But you'll see what I'm getting at in just a moment when we roll up some dice. We'll just move those out of the way, because you get a box of 5 and you think, right, that's my unit done, but then just not that great at units of 5. And I think for Eldar, the way I'm playing the new list, I'm just going to try and make them a bit stronger with some points values here. So chapter approved, Dark Reapers, there were 5 points, they're now 12, and then the Reaper launcher's 22 points, so they are expensive enough. So one aspect of these is the need to keep them alive. You really need to keep them alive if you can, or it's going to be costly. There's a number of tricks to do that that Eldar players used. So we'll cover the stats first of all. Power level 4, they come from your heavy support here. This is your long range firepower. The potential for these is fantastic, they are brilliant. So Dark Reapers then, movement 6, they are slowed down here a bit by the weapons they're carrying. Weapon skill, ballistic skill 3+, strength 3, toughness 3, 1 wound, 1 attack, leadership 8, and a 3+ save. That by itself isn't that great protection. So ideally, the first step is to maybe get them into cover. That'll boost up their save to a 2-up save. So that means that regular small arms fire coming through, las guns, bolter guns, you're going to be saving on a 2+. So that's the first bit of tactics there for them, is try and get them into cover. The usual way sort of Devastator type units are played is that you set them up in cover and then they just provide fire support, but I'm going to play them differently in my Eldar list, in a way that will try and keep them alive, keep them effective for as long as possible. The worst situation with these is to pay out for the unit, you get 1 round of shooting, the opponent then returns fire, they're wiped out, and you've lost that very useful supporting unit, and you've lost a big points chunk from your list. So that's one of the hurdles to overcome with these. The unit contains 3 Dark Reapers, include up to 2 additional Dark Reapers, or up to 7, so you can take a unit of 10, which would be ridiculous in points cost. So it's trying to find a balance there. I think 5's too weak, that's why I've got some on order. I'm planning to take a unit of 8. This is a recent development, but I'm planning to take a unit of 8 of these, and I think that's the effective size they need to be. You do get the Exarch here, who'll get an extra wound, an extra attack, although melee is something you want to avoid, and that's it. Yeah. So, the Dark Reaper Exarch, each one is armed with a Reaper launcher. Okay, so the Reaper launcher, you have 2 types of shots from it. So nice diversity here with this weapon, very useful. So you choose one of the profiles below. Star Shot Missile, and I'm guessing you can split with the unit. So if you want 4 of them to fire Star Shot Missiles at one target, and then the other 4 to fire Star Swarm Missiles at another target, you're allowed to do it, I believe you can. So Star Shot Missiles, this is the most common, I believe. Range 48, so already fantastic range. It means that you can set these up out of, another layer of protection for them is to set them up out of range of a lot of infantry firepower that could come through. So las guns range 24, bolters range 24, pulse rifles range 30. These have got range 48, so you can sit them right at the back, in a corner or at the back of your line, and still reach most of the battlefield and keep out of range of a lot of shots. So that's very useful. The range is brilliant. It's heavy 1, so a squad of 5 is going to get 5 shots. Strength 8, so most vehicles are going to be a 3+ to wound. Lean Russes, Bane Blades, it's going to be a 4+ to wound. Then it's AP -2. So the AP is okay, but the opponent's going to get some saves there for your average tank, and then it's 3 damage if it gets through. So this is why I'm thinking taking it of 8 of these, because it's just not going to be enough to punch the armour. Opponent's going to get some saves there. Yeah, your average, Lean Ross battle tank going to get 5+ to block these shots from coming through. Okay, then Star Swarm missiles is the other option. Range again, same range, but it's heavy too, so you get extra shots. So 5 of these guys are going to get 10 shots if they're all armed the same. Strength 5 is going to win most infantry on a 3+. Again, AP -2, and it is a straight 2 damage, so very useful against things like Primaris Marines. So, the Dark Reaper Exarch may replace their Reaper launcher with a Shuriken cannon. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone taking one of those. Ever. An Eldar missile launcher, that's a decent enough weapon. You've got 22 points for that. The Eldar missile launcher is 20, so it's actually a bit cheaper. You can fire the Sunburst missile, it's heavy D6, range 48, heavy D6, strength 4, -1, 1 damage. Or the Starshot missile, heavy 1, strength 8, -2, and D6 damage. So, yeah, it's a good enough option. And then you can go for a Tempest launcher. It's range 36, a bit shorter range, but it's heavy 2d6, you're averaging about 7 shots. Strength 4, AP -2, and 1 damage. And the great bonus to that is that you can fire at targets that are not visible to the bearer. So I'm thinking of things like Astra Militarum mortars and things like that, things that are hidden. You can try and flush those out of cover with that weapon. I don't think I'll be taking that weapon. I think I'll be going for the standard Reaper launcher for the Exarch. I think, but it's something to experiment with, just to avoid that temptation of trying to deploy a bit higher up with them. Do want to hold back if I can. They've got Ancient Doom. There's no battle focus here, but it doesn't really matter because the weapons they're carrying are heavy weapons anyway. Crack Shot, reroll hit rolls of 1 for Dark Reaper Exarch's ranged weapons. He gets to reroll 1s for his shooting. So, great rule for these, a really, really good rule. Inescapable accuracy. Models in this unit always hit on a 3+ when firing a ranged weapon in the shooting phase, regardless of any modifiers. So that's modifiers like if you move, -1 to hit rolls, that's not affected. Firing things like flyers, units that have activated smoke launchers. So anything that's incurred some modifiers, it's all ignored. So always 3+. Very useful, very, very useful indeed. So their firepower's decent enough. To remedy 5 of them firing, I think I'm going to take a unit of 8 because I want them to do enough damage to kill a vehicle in 1 round of shooting. I don't think 5 can do it, but we'll check it in just a moment just to give you an idea of the difference. So the main tactic I'm going to plan to use to keep these alive is a stratagem, and most Eldar players will be aware of this one. It is Fire and Fade. So you can use the stratagem after a friendly Assyrian unit shoots in your shooting phase. So you have these guys set up, they fire their shots at a target, and then you play this card, Fire and Fade. So you've done your firing. If you do so, this unit can immediately move 7, as if it was the movement phase. You cannot advance as part of this move, however it cannot charge in the same time. You're not worried about that. So one of the best ways to protect these is just to hide them. If you hide them, you can't see a target, you can't shoot. But if you have them lined up, do your shooting, then play this card, it's only 1 command point, and then move 7 and hide behind something. So, for example, you deploy, or not even deploy, in your movement phase, you see a target, you then move 7 or 6 inches to an elevated position, like so. Most other factions out there, you've moved to that position, that's where you're going to be. You do your firepower with them on 3+ to hit, doesn't matter if you've moved. You then play Fire and Fade and then disappear. And now, the only targets that only units that can shoot at them is, say, mortars, for example, or basilisks. But other units that need line of sight, all of a sudden they can't target these. And anything to try and keep them alive for as long as possible. So that's the tactic. Now the next turn, you just move them back up 6, shoot, and then play the card again. So, or you might want to play it as a relocate. So you fire and then just go and relocate somewhere else. You know, start to move off in another direction. But that's a useful 1-point stratagem. It's all designed. I plan to use it to try and keep these alive. The last thing I want to do is pay the points because they are expensive and then just have them blown away on turn 1. So the aim is to try and protect them as much as possible. The other way to protect them is to deploy other units nearby to stop deep strikers from ambushing them and trying to take them out either with shooting or close combat. And positioning in a way to stop flyers from landing nearby, flying over the top of units, that kind of thing. So careful spacing of units to try and protect them. But if I can keep them firing one turn after the next throughout the entire game, the Eldar should do well with them. So that's the sort of the aspects of trying to protect them and to keep them alive. Other Eldar players, another tactic is to put them inside wave serpents. So picking them up, putting them inside the wave serpent. The game starts when it's your turn, disembarking, doing your shooting, and then later on perhaps you can pick them up and move them off. So that's another great tactic to use, especially in turn 1. You don't get to go first, opponent gets to shoot. They're safe inside a wave, relatively safe inside a wave serpent. That's a good idea. Another option is to go for web-wave strike and just bring them in, even if it's just to within your own deployment zones. You keep them off the board, they can't be shot at if they're off the table. And in some situations I may well resort to that if I think there's nowhere safe on the table. Or I want to do some kind of ambush and I want that guaranteed safety on anything firing at them. I want to keep them 100% at strength, then I'll just web-wave strike them and bring them in at the right point at full strength and they can fire straight away. And then you can web-wave them in, do your shooting, and then fire and fade them and make them disappear. So a number of little tricks you can do to keep those alive, and there will be, I need to concentrate heavily to make sure they don't get caught out, because if they go, there's a big chunk of the army, especially if there's a unit of 8 of them. So that's all those options there. Then ways to improve their firepower. The obvious one is to put an Autarch nearby. One option I've been discussing on the Plus channel is to put an Autarch who can take a Reaper launcher. If you take an Autarch from the index, the old index, the option there is to take a Reaper launcher. So then you get another guy with a 2+ to hit Reaper launcher to support their firepower, and they're also granting them reroll 1s, which is very useful. The best way to get the most out of these is to have a Farseer, and then to give that Farseer, there's other units that are going to need it during the game, but to give them guide, so let's reroll their hits with ranged weapons, and then give them doom, to doom a target as well, reroll the wounds. Get those two working and all of a sudden you've got a unit that's going to cause a lot of trouble. So those two there, very, very useful. So we'll try some standard combinations, we'll try some different combinations just to illustrate. If you've taken 5, you've invested a fair amount of points, but why not try and make them really, really good? Paying a few points more and some other characters in support. So that's what I'm thinking with the Eldar. I've got about 3 units that are key units in my new Eldar list, and I want to try and make them max them out, make them as good as possible with lots of psychic support and so on. So, standard tank is what we're going to try and aim to destroy. Now this could be miles away here. We're not worried about setting these up at range. So 5 shots. This should illustrate the danger or the worry I have about these. So yeah, there's the immediate problem. This is exactly the trouble. Is that at 3s to hit, that happens. 3s to wound. Yeah, this is bang on the average here. 2 wounds come through. It's only -2. Probably going to roll up a 5 or a 6 here. No. So that's 6 damage. So some damage caused, but you haven't destroyed the target. That was actually a good round. We'll try again. I'm going to put in a different dice for the Exarch. And that is the worry here. A wound, which is then saved. 0 damage. It's a total waste of points. This is when I was previously using these. Really got discouraged with them and ended up dropping them from the list. I wasn't using them as efficiently as could be. But here's bang on the average again. 2 more misses. Wounds do come through. 5s and 6 to block though. Yeah, block 1. And again, 6 damage. That is a good round, but not enough to destroy this thing. So what I'll do now is bump them up to a unit of 8. We'll say there's 8 there. I don't have the models painted up yet, but my decision to go for 8 would look something like this. This is without any psychic support. So still getting the misses, but look, 5 hits have come through. 3s to wound, that's a disaster. 5s or 6s to save, only 3 wounds caused that time. Next, disaster. This will lead nicely onto the psychic buffs. 3s to wound. Didn't save any, 6 damage. Let's go again. Oh, terrible. An alt-arc would help there, for sure. This is better. He's starting to push a higher number of wounds come through here. And fouled all those. 12. Got the kill. It's not too bad. But it's just not enough. I want more of a... I'm going to fire at this target and most likely destroy it. That's the situation you want to be in. 3s to hit. An excellent round. And 3s to win. That's a very good round. Look at that though. That's the problem. -2. You know, and if they're in cover or something as well. So only 6 damage coming through from that. It's a shame. That's the situation there. They're all wounded though. This is good. 5s and 6s. Done it again. Kept the rhino alive. But I've put it in a sorry state. So that's not too bad. So that's 8 of those just firing as they are. An X-Arc would help a bit. But now I want to bring in psychic support. So he could be anywhere. This range 24 here, so he could be up fighting with another unit. But he's in range to put Doom here and to put Guide on these. So we'll go for Guide. Let's say we've got Guide now on these, just for interest's sake. Let's say that he's got other units to try and help out, and he gives Guide to those and Doom to someone else. So 3s to hit. And look at your average here. This is your misses. You get a chance to re-roll these. I failed that time around. Okay, great. We'll go for 3s to wound. And saves. Save that. So 6 damage coming through. Try again. There's your average misses. And re-roll. Got all the hits. That's what Guide can do. Saves you from a disastrous round of shooting. And on your average round of shooting, just tops it up to get those hits. And that has helped out here. Because you've then got 6 wounds come through. 5s to save, nowhere near enough, and you've got your nice reliable kill there. So Guide's really helped out. Threes to wound. Again, good. Just that extra couple of hits is helping here. Again, got the kill. Wipe out. 3s. Got all hits this time. Fouled with some wounds, but could kill this thing. Yeah, almost 9 damage, but be happy enough with that. The tank's wrecked. 3s, they've all hit, so Guide was a waste that time around. And some failures to wound. But got the kill there, another kill. So a bit of Guide coming through is very useful for a unit of 8. Now, Doom. I'm thinking especially Doom's going to be helpful against vehicles that are toughness 8. So Baneblades, Leman Russes, because they're going to be wounded on 4s. And so Guide and Doom especially be helpful against tougher targets. So now we're going to go for 8 of it. Let's say we've got a Leman Russ here. 3s to hit, we've got Guide, so I'm going to reroll this one. All hit. 4s to wound. And that's the worry, that's the danger. But with Doom, I've got myself my extra 2 wounds, and that can make all the difference. 5s to save. The Russ has done well, it's stayed alive, but it's in a sorry state, it's taken 9 damage. Guide and Doom hit. Just need those extra, they're all hit, that's what you're looking for. 4s to wound, and again, perfect illustrating the danger of needing 4s to wound. But with Doom, get myself another 2. Not too good a roll here. 5s to save. 666. We'll have another go. 3s. Reroll that one. Got all of the hits. 4s to wound. Doom. That's better. 5 wounds coming through. 5s and 6s. Nope. And that's got you 15 wounds. And one more round. So Guide all hit, 4s to wound. That's a good roll. That's just good. Got another 2, almost a full house. Fantastic. 5s or 6s, nowhere near. If that was a Bane Blade, that'd be 18 wounds. We've almost taken it out. So very, very good firepower. So you're sort of giving you an idea of why I'm justifying taking a bigger unit of them, because I want to be able to point them at something and destroy a target. And my Eldar list needs to do that. I can't hang around. I need to have units that aren't just going to start picking off wounds here and there, but I need them to be able to say, right, I'm going to fight that Lim Russ and stand a very good chance of destroying it, at a minimum sort of causing horrific damage, but really want to stand a good chance of just deleting it off and then making them disappear. And the opponent thinks, right, now there's a unit that's out there that's killing a tank every turn and they're hidden, and it's going to create a real headache. So to do that properly, I want 8 of these. And again, give your own ideas and opinions, especially those of you out there that play Eldar and you have a lot of experience of these in 8th edition. Leave your comments and feedback, your tactics, what's proved to be the best combination. Maybe you do the combination I'm talking about here. I think 10 of them is overkill, too many points. 8 of them is an expensive unit, but I think I need 8 to do the job. I think they're more efficient than having an Exarch there. For the same kind of points, having an Exarch and getting one extra shot coming from granting rerolls to all of these. Instead I'm thinking take a unit of 8 of them. And if I do start taking a few casualties, and I drop to a unit of 6 or unit of 5, they're still an effective enough unit. So that's the kind of justification I'm going for with those. But check out the comment section. Maybe you're new to playing Eldar, looking for some tips and experience. See what other Eldar players are saying. But my plan is to go for 8 of them on foot, fire and fade with them, potentially web wave strike them in, and with psychic support looking to take out a tank every turn with them and try and do that each turn. And it's to let the rest of my Eldar army move in more aggressively, and at the back with the snipers to have those providing some long range fire support. But I want it to be effective. That's the main aim for these Dark Reapers. The other option for shooting with them is for trying to take out infantry targets, and you can do that. So we'll say Guide and Doom on these, firing the other option, which is the Star Swarm missiles. So I would actually get 16 shots with my unit of 8. Just 2 shots each. And maybe I want them to point at an infantry target and destroy it. You know, I want a guaranteed sort of destruction as much as possible. So Guide and Doom, let's say this has gone off in an ideal situation. They've all hit. It is strength 5. So 3's to wound. Rerolls because of Doom. And now 5 pluses. Saved a couple. But no, you've just wiped out the whole squad with 3 wounds to spare. That's 2 at a time. So if that was a large unit, Primaris Marines, God, or that's frightening. That is scary. Yeah, I'm going to go for unit of 8, I think. So I'm going to very quickly paint up 3 of them when they arrive in the post, all being well, and get these up to unit of 8. But I think that's the effective size, and do my utmost to keep them alive. And the thing is, with larger units, you don't mind paying out the stratagems because it's a bigger chunk of your army. If you've got smaller units dotted about, you think, oh, do I want to pay out for another stratagem on a smaller unit that's not be that effective? But if you've got bigger units, then it justifies paying out command points to make sure they do a good job. So that's what I'm thinking here. Larger units, some key larger units for my Eldar force, and then just giving them as many bonuses as possible, especially with psychic powers and stratagems, making them hard to kill, deadly in close combat or deadly in shooting, and just go for that kind of elite approach with my Eldar list. It could all go disastrously wrong, but that's the plan for the new Eldar army. If you want to see what the new list is, then it's on the Plus channel. You can check out the Eldar army development, and it's also been updated with chapter approved video I've done updating the different factions. One of the recent videos there for the Eldar as well, just to give you an idea of the list long before it comes out on YouTube. Discuss it on there in detail, and you can leave your own comments and feedback and offer suggestions, and I listen to that, and often I've changed things in the list, added new models in because of what subscribers have said, there in the comment section on the Plus channel, and then you've got all the other content exclusively on that website as well. So, including a load of exclusive battle reports featuring the Eldar and all the escapades that they get up to. But glory days ahead, hopefully, and maybe this unit here will prove a pivotal unit for helping the Eldar in future games get to glory. But we'll see. That's the tactics and showcase video for Dark Reapers. A unit with great potential, I think, if you play them wisely and carefully and enhance them, then they can be utterly deadly. But there it is, that's the video. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time.